So there's this specific frustration that I think everyone knows, but we don't really talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, by definition, it's hard to talk about. It's
Yeah.
that feeling when you're trying to describe a vibe.
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe it's the mood at a family dinner where, like, nothing bad happened, but everyone was just so tense. Or that weird nostalgic feeling you get on a Tuesday,
Right.
and you try to put it into a sentence, and just the moment you say the words,
You feel like a liar.
yes, it feels like a betrayal of the whole experience, doesn't it?
Totally. You say, it was awkward, or I felt sad, and you immediately think, no, that's not it. That's way too small. It's too tidy.
It's too tidy. And usually I blame myself. I think, wow, I need to, read a thesaurus more. I just assume I'm bad at talking.
Right.
But the piece we're looking at today suggests that maybe the problem isn't my vocabulary. Maybe the problem is the structure of language itself.
Which is a pretty heavy accusation to level at, all of language.
It is, but the source material really backs it up. We are diving into a really fascinating Substack piece. It's titled Episode 494, Gestalt Lexicography, Words for What Language Can't Hold.
Okay, that is a title that requires a little unpacking before we even get started.
Yeah, Gestalt lexicography isn't exactly casual dinner conversation, is it?
Well, let's break it down. Gestalt in psychology is this idea that the whole is different than the sum of its parts, right? You see a face, you don't see left eye plus right eye plus nose. You see the whole thing at once.
The vibe.
The vibe is the Gestalt, exactly. But then lexicography is making dictionaries. It's about defining individual words. So the tension in that title is, how do you make a dictionary definition, which breaks things down, for a Gestalt which only exists as a whole?
You're trying to slice a cloud with a knife?
That's the central conflict. The author is exploring this friction between our raw, messy reality and the inherited vocabulary we have to use.
I love that phrase, inherited vocabulary.
It's great, isn't it? And they argue that sometimes words feel slippery, not because they're empty, but because they're too full.
It makes it sound like we're all wearing, like, hand-me-down clothes that don't quite fit. But before we get too abstract, what's the actual mission here? The author ends up obsessing over one very specific, very common word.
Field.
Feel.
Yeah, they do. The mission is to figure out how we can reclaim something they call meaning sovereignty.
Okay.
Basically, how do we stop letting standard language flatten our lives?
Sure.
And the tool the author uses, the handle they use to carry these heavy feelings, is the word field.
Okay, meaning sovereignty is a big concept. We're definitely going to get there. But I want to start with the villain of this piece, or at least the antagonist.
Right.
The text calls it analytic language.
And that's the operating system we all use every day. Analytic language is designed to distinguish A from B. It cuts, it separates, it categorizes.
Which is useful. I mean, if I'm at the grocery store, I need to know the difference between an apple and an onion. I like categories. Categories keep me from crying while I make a fruit salad.
It's essential for functioning, for sure. But the author's point is that analytic language keeps breaking my experience into pieces it was never meant to be split into.
So when you apply that grocery store logic to, say, a complex emotion or a relationship dynamic, you start losing data.
You lose a lot of data. The source material calls this flattening.
Flattening.
Yes. Think about the difference between a map of a forest and actually standing in the forest.
Okay.
The map is useful. It has nouns, tree, path, river. But the map doesn't have the smell of the pine needles. It doesn't have the way the light hits the moss.
Right.
When you reduce the experience to the map, to the nouns and bullet points, you have flattened the reality.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. We live in a world of bullet points. Executive summaries, tweets, texts. We crave tidy explanations.
We do.
When I ask my friend, how is the date? I kind of want the bullet points. I want to know. Good, bad, second date.
You want that tidy explanation because it's controllable. It's a transaction. But does that checklist actually tell you what the date felt like?
Probably not, no.
The author argues that when we rely on those tidy explanations, we're ignoring everything prior to containment.
Prior to containment. That sounds like a sci-fi term.
It's simpler than that, really. It's the feeling before you slap a label on it. The moment you label a feeling anger, you've put it in a box. You know how to treat anger. You know the script for it. But maybe it wasn't just anger. Maybe it was a mix of disappointment and, hunger and grief.
But once you say anger, all of that just evaporates. You've contained it.
You've contained it. So the author's trying to hang out in that space before the box closes.
I see. And that's why they reject the standard nouns. They say no inherited vocabulary fits, so they repurpose the word field.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dig into this word, because when I hear field, I think of soccer or wheat. I don't think of deep emotional processing. Why this word?
So they chose it because it allows for 3 specific shifts in perspective. They call them metaphors, but I think of them more as, like, operating instructions for the word.
Okay, let's go through them. The first one is that field is a lens rather than a label.
Right. And this goes back to your love of bullet points. A label tells you what something is. It stops the thinking process. This is a win.
This is a failure. Done.
Yeah, done.
It's efficient.
It's very efficient.
But it's static. A lens isn't something you look at. It's something you look through. So if the author says, I am navigating a field of grief, they aren't just slapping a sad sticker on their forehead.
Right.
They're saying, I am currently viewing the entire world through the distortion and the color of this grief.
Oh, I see. So a label is like a name tag, but a lens is like putting on tinted glasses.
Yeah.
Everything looks different. My coffee, my commute, my emails, because I'm seeing them all through this field.
Correct. It changes the relationship between you and the world, which leads right into the second distinction, a medium rather than a thing. This one kind of tripped me up. Usually when I have a problem, I treat it like a thing. I say, I have a lot of stress right now. Like stress is a heavy backpack I'm carrying.
Right. And the implication is that you can just, take the backpack off, or that it's separate from you. But the author argues that these complex experiences aren't things, they're a medium.
Like water to a fish.
Exactly. You aren't carrying the stress. You are suspended in it. It's the environment. It surrounds you. You breathe it.
That's actually a little claustrophobic.
It can be. But isn't it more honest? I mean, if you're going through a heartbreak or a massive career change, it doesn't feel like a backpack you can just set down. It feels like the atmosphere has changed.
That flows right into the third metaphor, which I think was my favorite, a climate rather than a checklist.
This is the most powerful one for me, too.
Yeah.
A checklist is binary. It's digital. On or off. Done or not done.
Did we argue today?
No.
No. Okay, good relationship.
Exactly. Did I cry? No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm having good mental health day. But a climate is analog. It has pressure. It has temperature. It has humidity. It's dynamic. You can have a sunny day with a storm front moving in. You can have a climate in a relationship that is technically checking all the boxes, but feels absolutely suffocating.
Oh, that is so real. You can be in a meeting where everyone is saying the polite, correct words. They're checking the boxes, but the climate in the room is just radioactive.
And if you only have analytic language, you can't prove it. You
Yeah.
say, well, nobody yelled, so I guess it was a good meeting. But you walk out feeling completely drained.
Yeah.
The author wants us to have the language to say, the field in that room was hostile, even if the checklist was clean.
So it gives you a handle. That's the word the text uses.
Yes. They say field isn't a final definition.
Yeah.
It's just enough of a handle to keep hold of the conversation without flattening what it's trying to name.
I like the handle idea because sometimes if you try to explain the whole climate to someone, you just sound crazy. You sound like you're rambling. But if you can just say, hey, the field in here is really heavy, it gives you a way to move the concept from your brain to theirs without spilling it everywhere.
But, and this is a big but, we have to acknowledge why most people don't do this. We stick to the checklists and the labels for a reason.
Because it's easier.
It is so much easier. The text pivots here to talk about the sheer cost of trying to communicate this way. The author describes a quiet exhaustion.
They mention spoons. They say it costs spoons, time, emotional energy, cognitive labor.
Yeah, they're referencing spoon theory there, the metaphor from the chronic illness community where you only have a finite number of spoons or energy units per day.
Which implies that being a Gestalt lexicographer, trying to find words for the whole vibe, is physically draining work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. If I ask, how are you? And you say, fine, that costs you 0 spoon.
Right.
Costs me 0 spoons. Transaction complete.
But if I try to explain that I'm currently suspended in a field of anticipatory anxiety regarding my future relevance...
That takes work. It takes immense cognitive labor to translate a non-linear feeling into linear sentences. And there's a risk.
Yeah.
The author talks about that familiar ache of having botched it again.
That part hit hard. That I've flattened what should remain alive. That I've mistranslated something sacred. It's the fear that by trying to describe the magic, you've killed it.
It's a profound vulnerability. And I think that's why a lot of us just retreat to irony or simple labels.
Yeah.
It's safer to be shallow.
Wow, yeah.
If you try to be deep and you fail, you feel foolish. You feel like you've disrespected your own reality.
So why do it? I mean, if it costs spoons and it's exhausting and you might fail, why not just stick to I'm fine?
Because that concept we teased earlier, meaning sovereignty.
Meaning sovereignty, it sounds like a political movement.
In a way, it is. It's an internal political movement. Sovereignty is the right to rule, right?
Right.
Meaning sovereignty is the right to define your own reality. The author writes, naming field is not aesthetic indulgence. It is an act of meaning sovereignty.
But isn't there a danger there? If we all start making up our own definitions for things and refusing to use standard words, doesn't communication just, like, dissolve into chaos? If I have my sovereign meaning and you have yours, how do we even talk?
That's a valid fear. But look at the alternative. If we only use the inherited vocabulary, we are agreeing to live inside someone else's description of the world.
Ah.
The author isn't saying we should all speak gibberish. They're saying we need to expand the dictionary because the current one is too small. It's not about disconnecting from others. It's about trying to connect more accurately.
So it's a refusal to let the tidy explanation win. It's saying my experience is complex and I'm going to fight to keep it complex, even if it's hard to explain.
Exactly. It's valuing the truth of the experience over the ease of the explanation.
Okay, now this leads us to the part of the source material that I found the most difficult, but also the most rewarding. We have to talk about physics.
Oh, yeah. The afterglow section.
The author compares writing to trying to translate the fourth dimension into the first three. Now, I barely passed high school physics, so you're going to have to walk me through this one.
Okay, let's keep it grounded.
Uh,
We live in a world of height, width, and depth. 3 dimensions.
Got it.
Time is often called the 4th dimension.
Right.
Now look at a page of text or a transcript of this deep dive. It's flat. It's lines on a screen. It's basically 2D. And language is also linear. It happens one word after another. So we are taking a multi-dimensional reality, which has depth and time and memory and sensation, and we're forcing it through a funnel into a flat, straight line of text.
It's like trying to draw a hologram on a napkin. You just lose the depth.
You lose the recursion, the way things loop back. You lose resonance. But the author goes even further. They introduce a 5th dimension.
Okay, this is where I need a concrete example. Because 5th dimension starts sounding a little bit like we're, burning sage and buying crystals. What do they mean by that?
They define it as the lived, relational, affective layer.
Affective, as in feelings.
As in the vibe that is shared between people. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're reading the lyrics to a really powerful anthem.
Okay.
Maybe Bohemian Rhapsody or something. You read the words on paper. You understand the meaning. You see the rhymes. That's the intellectual layer.
Right, makes sense.
Now imagine you were in a stadium with 50,000 people, and everyone is singing that song at the top of their lungs. The air is vibrating. You could feel the sound in your chest.
Okay.
You feel connected to the stranger standing next to you.
That is a totally different experience.
That feeling in the stadium, that's the 5th dimension. That is the affective layer. It's felt, it's shared, it's co-created. The words are the same. But the field has changed completely.
And the author's trying to figure out how to capture that stadium feeling using just the text on the paper.
Exactly. It's an impossible task, really. They reference their previous work on afterglow, which they describe as a space where meaning moves across time, memory, and sensation.
So it's the lingering resonance of that stadium moment even after the music stops.
That's it. So when they use the word field, they are trying to create a container for that 5th dimension. They're trying to write in a way that carries the afterglow.
They're trying to make the text vibrate.
Yes.
Meaning itself is wider than the words we've been given. That's the quote that just stuck with me.
It's the core thesis, really. Our reality is wide and our words are narrow.
It totally reframes that frustration we talked about at the beginning. If I can't describe the mood in the room, it's not because I'm stupid. It's because I'm trying to shove a 5-dimensional stadium experience into a 2-dimensional text message.
And you're wondering why it feels flattened. Of course it's flattened. You had to compress it to make it fit.
So if we accept this, if we accept that language is a limited technology and we need to, hack it, what do we actually do?
Yeah.
We can't all go around writing substacks about Gestalt lexicography.
We don't have to write about it, but we can practice it. We can start by just refusing to settle for the checklist when we're feeling the climate.
Hacking the language.
We are all lexicographers of our own lives. We have to be. Because if you don't name your own fields, someone else will label them for you. And their label will almost certainly be wrong.
That's a sobering thought. I've been thinking about this since I read the piece about what field I'm currently in.
Oh, yeah.
Because busy is the label I usually use. I'm so busy.
Busy is a classic flattener. It just shuts down the conversation.
It really does. But if I try to use a lens instead, I think I'm actually in a field of productive avoidance.
Oh.
Like, I'm doing a lot of work to avoid thinking about some bigger questions. Busy makes me sound important. Productive avoidance makes me feel, well, exposed, but it's definitely more accurate.
And that accuracy, even if it's uncomfortable, gives you something real to work with. You can't solve busy. You can address avoidance.
Oof. Okay, I didn't expect to get called out by my own vocabulary today, but here we are.
It's the hazard of the job.
So we want to turn this over to you, the listener. We've talked about how analytic language fractures reality. We've talked about spoons and the cost of translation, but mostly we've talked about the difference between a checklist and a climate.
So here is the question to take with you.
If standard language is just flat lines of text trying to capture a multidimensional reality, what part of your life is currently being flattened? What field are you standing in right now that you have been calling by the wrong name because it was easier?
Give it the right name and see if the world looks different through that lens.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.